Jennifer Liu has a new article in the Make It website called "The Older Model of Leadership Just Doesn't Cut It Anymore: Why New RTO Dates Power Moves from CEOs Could Backfire." Let's quickly cover some of the main points Jennifer Liu makes in this article. Command and control during a downturn is bad for business. In some cases, it is bad for business. In other cases, there is a place for command and control during crisis situations and emergencies. But a day-to-day, non-crisis mode of operation, or even long-term crisis mode of operation, because many organizations are in the midst of long-term crises. You don't want the command and control, and I definitely think the culture has changed, to Lou's point, that people aren't going to respond well to a top-down model of forcing people to return to the office and a 40-hour week, 5 days a week in the office. Lou also makes a really good point that leaders need to be very transparent with the people within their organization, that the next stage of returning to the office is likely to be a cycle of test, fail, and repeat. So this is a sense-making cycle. Test, fail, repeat, test, fail, and repeat, test, fail, and repeat, until we figure out what the new equilibrium is going to be. We've got to move forward. We've got to adapt again to, this changing environment that we're living in during this late stage COVID era. I often use the metaphor finding the new equilibrium. Like, what is the new equilibrium? People hate the term new normal. Let me repeat that. People hate the term new normal. That's why I kind of adopted the phrase new equilibrium, figuring out what the new equilibrium is. In this article, they use the term cadence. What are the new rhythms? What are the new what is the new environment going to look like? We have to organically figure that out, and it has to be through a process of trial and error and sense making. We do it, we see how it works, we make sense of it, and that leads to further decision making, so that we can start to adapt to our environment. I think one of the most important points Lou makes in this article is that organizational leaders need to make clear to everyone what the remote work policy is, or what the return to office policy is, and what the rationale behind it is, so people can make sense of the policy. What are its limits? How will it work in practice? Where is the flexibility? How are issues around family caregiving or personal health issues being considered? How is it fair? How is it equitable? So those are things that need to be communicated very clearly so people can make meaning of the policy. Communication, communication, communication. So one of the final points Lou makes in the article is that many leaders are calcified in their management approach, and that they have a hard time with this process of continual adaptation. Well, I hate to break it to you, but if the 20th century is any guide to what we have to look forward in the 21st century, it's just going to be continual upheaval and change. We live in a very complex and turbulent and ever-changing environment, and the measure of any leader moving into the future is going to be how well they can adapt to changing circumstances, and how they can build flexible and resilient systems that can navigate the turbulence that we have ahead of us.